Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 5:30 p.m. study session. Today is March the 14th, and we have a study session being presented by our city engineer, Ali Deeb, and from Wade Trim, Vaughn Martin, one of their representatives, and this is in regards to CSO L-42 scope modifications. Gentlemen, council members, I'm going to allow them to go ahead and present. And then once they're done, we'll go ahead and ask any questions, if you guys don't mind, please, guys and gals. Thank you. Go ahead, Ali.
Well, thank you, Council Chair. Again, as you indicated, this is one of the largest cities projects. It is a very important project. This is a combined sewers overflow separation. This is a project that is bond funded, that we bonded for a few years back. And this is, again, one of the largest projects. We are at a cross point in this project. This is a 2-year project. It was awarded. It is in construction. I think we completed year 1. We are encountering some decision points that we wanted to explain it to this honorable board and ask for guidance, oversight, guidance, selection. So we are going to take a quick tour at the project from the initial design to construction, and then show you what we're thinking about, and then we'll discuss later what the options are. We have many options. We're at a crossroad. They are very important, and we need your guidance. So with that, the project overview. So we're going to start with what is a combined sewers overflow. As you know, the city of Dearborn Heights has many CSOs, areas that are combined sewers, sanitary and storm sewers. And in the old days, that was a standard operating procedure. The current regulations require us to separate. So the back was DNR and now it's Eagle. You cannot have the possibility of sanitary sewer, raw sewers overflowing into rivers and streams. So with that, you have cities have to identify and come up with a plan and a timeline to separate these areas. So basically, do not allow the sanitary to go into streams or rivers under any circumstances. So with that, these are the combined sewer overflow areas that we had completed in the past. So the green will be combined sewer CSO area basins that have been separated. As you can see, we've done quite a few. We made the reason for the bond, the $25 million bond that was sold in 19 or 20, was basically because of an agreement with Eagle to separate 3 areas. In addition to what we separated in the past, we agreed on a timeline and a project review. So the areas we agreed to under the bond issue to separate are from the top to the bottom, L42, which is currently under construction, L43, which was completed a year and a half ago, and L41, which is still in the design phase. So the L42 is because of the level of construction involved in the separation of those 2 sewers, is probably, it's by far the largest in our city. So it is underway. It's a 2-year project. We are in year 1 now, still looking at final completion by the end of November of this year. All right, so here's the area of the L42. This is what the area looked like. It's Avondale, Beach Daily, Cherry Hill, and Gully. That's the outlines. So the project, and this is what that's what we agreed to with Eagle to separate. These are the areas that we separate the storm from sanitary. Now, what is the original scope? The original scope of the project was to construct a new storm system throughout the CSO area, brand new storm system in that area, in the subdivisions, and connect to existing storm over in the Beach Daily Road at Marshall's. So Beach and Marshall, we've got an outfall into the river, and so we built brand new storm and connect to that. By doing though, we cut utilizing open cut technique for the installation. So we open cut. And we construct a new sanitary sewer. Of course, since we removed the storm, we construct a new sanitary sewer on Beach Daily Road and connect it to the existing interceptor near the Rouge River. And that part was designed as a jack and bore construction operation. Jack and bore, again, we'll show you in a minute what jack and bore is. And the reason for that it is because it's less expensive than to open cut. So all existing sanitary sewers within the CSO area will then be connected to the new sanitary sewer on Beach Daily. So that entire area I showed you will then be connected to sanitary. By doing that, you separated the storm from sanitary, and there is no chance of sanitary ending up in the river. So we constructed a new water main throughout the CSO area. Again, even though water main is not a requirement, but what we try to do to be cost effective is when we work in a particular area, we look at our infrastructure in that area, and if it's aged and ready for replacement, it is more cost effective to do it at that time than to come back 2 years from then and then excavate the same area and do the work. So we are constructing new water main throughout the CSO area using pipe bursting. And we explained before what pipe bursting is. You go a pipe inside a pipe and you burst it. So the work consisted of partial and full width roadway replacement. Again, some areas we only needed to remove part to get to construct, and some areas we have to do more. Now, challenges on this project. So we started the project a year ago, and the challenges that we've encountered. So this is the outline of the project, and as you know, in a typical construction of that site, that size, the first thing you do is you do soil borings, and you try to figure out what the soil strata in the work area is, and you design your work around that. So all these dots indicate soil borings that our designers, Wade Trim, utilized soil subcontractor, conducted soil borings throughout all these areas and determined what a soil profile looked like, and designed the project based on that profile.
And this is the same area we're talking about, the Avondale Beach?
Yeah, same area. So it was done by the book. None of these soil borings indicated any issues with the soil. Now, this is what was done up until today. That's what the jack and bore operation is. You open a pit in one location and you drive the auger. What is it called again?
So there's a steel casing.
But there's an auger.
An auger fits in the steel casing and augers through and creates a void in the ground.
Right. And then you push the new pipes through it. So that's the technique, and this way you save the pavement up on top. You go down to the depth and you drill.
Were
Yes,
we
sir.
having issues though, where they were bending or something?
Okay. We're coming to that.
And these are
Just
actual
one quick second.
photos from your
So
site.
1 second.
Go ahead.
Because we're going to have, please, council members, no questions so that he can finish his presentation so we can start the next meeting on time. And then we'll have questions. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So that
Write your
was what,
questions down.
all right. So this is what we did. That's the part that we completed. And this is the section of the work that's already been done now. So this all the way to the interceptor is now completed.
So that's Beach Daily Road and then intersecting
Right.
Avondale.
Avondale is there, right there. That's Avondale, that's Beach Daily, and that's the interceptor right there. So that work was completed. And if you recall, about 2 weeks ago, I brought in a change order because of what we encountered in the ground at the depth of 25 feet where the pipe is located. We were hitting, the drilling machine was hitting boulders, large boulders. And that's what they look like. So anytime a machine hits one of these things, you have to stop, excavate, repair the machine, and try to get it back. And when I say excavate, you're going down 25 feet. It's not an easy thing. So this is a soil strata that included large boulders in that particular area that was not seen, or it's not documented, no one knew about. And that's a sample of, these are actual boulders from the site. And this is I was told, I wasn't there, I was told that a worker went down in the casing and took that picture showing how the auger broke and when it hit this thing and it had to be excavated,
He went down inside?
apparently.
He went up the casing and got to that point and then took that picture.
I wouldn't do it, but,
That's dangerous.
so anyway, so to stay on time, the L42 sanitary sewer installation progress, so this is what has been done so far. So if you look on Beach Daily, the green part is the one that's section that was done?
Yeah, so the dark green on the bottom on Beach Daily, there, that's the component that's been installed roughly 1/3 of the length of the proposed sanitary sewers in.
Yep.
And then the lighter green is what remains to be installed.
So, we're getting to the decision point now. So, I had asked that we hold this session because we need to come up with a decision on defining that project. So what we have before us are many options. We're at decision points now. Option one is to continue working the same way as before and take chance on hitting more boulders and trying to excavate and remove. And so we have 2/3 of the work. We can take a chance and continue doing that, which is option one. And so the advantage is it's less disruptive, obviously. I don't need to make any changes. I'll tell the contractor to proceed as designed. Disadvantage is there is a reasonable probability that we'll continue to hit buried boulders, causing significant delays and adding additional cost. And then, so if we take the previous 1/3 and project what the other portion will be, I'll be looking at additional costs of about $90,000 every time we make a change.
Yeah, so
Oh,
to date, we paid an additional $90,000 for
The first.
hitting those boulders.
that's the change order that I brought in 2 weeks ago. Anyway, so that's option one. Now, option two, what we can do is install the remaining 2/3 of the sanitary sewers using an open cut. So instead of taking a drill and drill it at 25 feet, we can just open cut, excavate, which then boulders will not impact the construction at all. You can just excavate them. And then the construction schedule will be able to be maintained. So we'll tell the contractor in lieu of a pit and drilling, jack and bore, we're just going to go out and change the scope and make it an open cut. So the disadvantage, there will be a great more impact on the residents because instead of having a pit excavated, now you're going to tear the street out, right? Disadvantage, Beach Daily Road will need to be fully replaced, right? However, Beach Daily's current rating on our pavement schedule is 2 and 3. So the pavement is in poor condition regardless. So yes, I need to replace it, but also it is scheduled, it needs to be replaced. And then this will, so if I do that, the one at disadvantage, notice that if I do this and open cut and replace that pavement, I will be having brand new pavement from Avondale to Marshall, and then this last piece over here between Marshall and Cherry Hill looks like hell. So now, if we select option two and replace that pavement, then we have an offshoot of that option 2A, which says, okay, so if I'm going to do that street 3/4 of the way, why wouldn't I just finish the rest of it and do the pavement? So that's option 2A. Advantage is, obviously, boulders will not be won't impact us. Construction schedule will be maintained, and then will be consistent pavement from Cherry Hill all the way to Avondale. So we'll have new pavement, full width. The roadway will be replaced. Also, disadvantage, obviously, we will impact the residents because we're doing now water main, sanitary and storm sewer, plus the pavement. But I can still do that and maintain schedule because the contractor is on site. And then the pavement I will lose is also a pavement that needs to be replaced anyway. Now, So reasons to consider option two, open cut installation. Again, we didn't want to make that change until we come to you and then you realize, similar to the Boulder encounters, if the encounters continue to the current, on the current average, we will be looking at approximately $200,000 of additional costs just to deal with boulders. And then another item to consider, Beach Daily, as I indicated earlier, is currently rated 2 and 3 on our 1 to 10 Pacer rating system. So it is in need of pavement replacement. 3, if we do the pavement work through this contract, because the contractor is on site, and we looked at all these things, economically, we're able to complete that work at $80 a square yard versus the last time I bid it at $96. So yes, I can do the pavement, and yes, I can do it at a less cost than going back and doing it separately, because it would be mobilization and all that good stuff. So, one more consideration, as if this project wasn't complicated enough, the area that we were considering open cut in has experienced a large number of water main breaks throughout the winter, meaning that the water lines in that location, which are outside the scope, are at or beyond useful life, and we track water main breaks on a map. So we can tell you geographically where each main is. So we're at a point where we're band-aids. So if we are to excavate and open cut and remove the pavement, it might be a wise decision to also replace the water main at that point, because it will be a lot less expensive that way. So at this point, replace the existing water main between Avondale and Cherry. And by doing that, we will address, because we're tracking water main breaks throughout the city, so we can identify sections that are having a bad day, that are old, they're beyond their useful life, or they're just not accommodating the pressure, working pressure. So we track those, and we identified that area as being in need of replacement. So to go over it one more time, this is the section that is totally outside that scope, where only if we decide, or if you decide to do the pavement, this will be the area that we will be adding to maintain a uniform appearance from Cherry Hill to Avondale with full width pavement, sewers separated, water main, storm and sanitary. Now, these are project photos. These are the actual project photos from the construction. The contractor, given the area and lack of available records, is actually doing good. It is a decision point. The scope did not take into account all the things that we identify. Again, keep in mind the original scope was to satisfy Eagle's requirement to separate storm and sanitary, and that we're doing that. It's just the rest of the stuff that creeped up on us during construction that requires us to make a decision. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Council Chair.
Let's start this way. Go ahead, Councilwoman, then we'll go with Councilman Muscat.
Okay, first of all, in Beach Daily, half of that's Inkster and half of it's Dearborn Heights. Are they doing their half as well?
It's all ours.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, next question, can that be taken out of ARPA funds? Since
Well,
it's
so the
construction.
entire project is bond funded.
Oh, all right.
If this is a bond funded project, this is
Okay.
one of the 25 million. I don't know if you really want to sit and dissect elements or pieces. I mean, is it doable? I guess,
The answer is no?
yeah.
Mariana said no.
I will listen to her.
Project, yes, but because it started and we did it.
We can't.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
The section that from Cherry Hill to Marshall, the part that's out of the scope. Now, will you be replacing the water mains there also?
That's the idea, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we would replace the water main from Avondale all the way to
Now,
Cherry Hill.
that already been separated for storm and,
It doesn't. doesn't have any.
Yeah, it's not, currently.
There's nothing there to be separated.
Currently
Okay.
not combined.
Yeah. So the only area, Council Pro Tem, the only areas we're separating is if they are combined. So
Okay.
if you're not combined, we don't need to.
So what is the additional cost to do that portion there? Just for that portion?
250,000.
250 just for that section right there?
You're just talking about you're talking about pavement?
So.
Whole thing.
The whole thing, getting the whole thing done?
So the difference.
I think it was between either the 550 or
Yeah, so
800,000.
Yeah.
the road,
250.
yeah, the road cost, it's a $250,000
Right.
difference.
Okay, but then you're talking about adding the new water mains in there, which would be an additional cost.
Correct.
Yes.
That's so
What did we?
So that's something that should have been calculated in
We,
before you brought that up.
So it's, I don't know exactly how you mean that. So it is calculated in, like, are you talking about from the?
just the one piece.
Just a one piece, if you're gonna redo from Cherry Hill to Marshall, all the pavement,
Yes.
and we should replace the water main while you got the concrete out, what's the additional cost going to be if you put new water mains in there?
Yeah, so it's essentially $200,000 for water main to extend from Marshall to Cherry Hill.
Plus the cement,
Plus 250.
plus two, so another 450, half $500,000 to do, wow.
But the only thing I look at, I don't see as additional necessarily cost, because that's something that's gotta be done, it seems,
Well,
based on what they're telling us, either way.
Well, I understand, but I'm just trying to figure out if you're gonna
It is.
replace the concrete, you might as well do the water mains, because eventually you're gonna bust up that concrete to do the water mains.
That's the main reason we're bringing it in at this point. The
So you might
recommendation.
as well get it all done at one time.
Yes, sir.
And then, so this will be our last CSO project forever?
No, are you kidding? No, I wish. No, this is number 2 of 3 that we committed
Okay,
to.
okay, two
But
of
then-
three, so
then-
then we're gonna have many, many more after this.
So what we agreed to, with the letter with Eagle is the current 3. We did 1, that's 2, and we have 1 more. That's the agreement. Now Eagle is trying to get us to sign, to commit to a timeline for the next 3. And we haven't agreed to any timeline because of the
Because
cost.
these were supposed to have been done about 10 years ago, I believe.
No, sir, the bond was sold in 19
Yeah, I know we
20.
bought the bonds, but we were supposed to have done those 10 years before, we kind of kicked them down the road.
They were shelved.
They were
Yeah,
shelved,
that's what I'm saying, we could have done these 10 years ago with probably half the cost.
probably.
And that's the part that disturbs me.
Yes.
We just kept kicking the can down the road, kicking
Yeah,
the can down the
and so,
road.
so we have many more CSOs to be addressed, but they're trying to get us to commit to a timeline and define. So we have M13, M14, and U3. So there are other areas in Dearborn Heights that have combined sewers.
Does this help people now not flood sewage in their basements?
At least it won't be sewer, it will be sanitary.
Well, better than sewage.
Yeah.
That's what sanitary is.
Okay,
So I got a question for you.
Storm is sewers, yes, sir.
So the additional items, like, for example, the asphalt, you're talking about, all the stuff, all the underground stuff that you said you highly recommend anyways. If you take those out of the equation, what's the comparison in cost? Because to me, those additional items, like you're talking about the street, that's rated 2 and 3, those are something we're gonna have to do anyway.
Right,
So if
so-
you take those out of the cost, what's the difference in pricing?
But Council Chair, if you don't open cut, if you stay with the current method and go on with drilling,
take chances
then
with the
you don't,
boulders.
no, you don't have, I know, beside the boulders, you don't have to deal with a pavement replacement, right? Because you're going under it. But in order to if you open cut, you're gonna lose the pavement. So, you see,
No, I recognize that, but what I'm saying is based on option A,
right,
you stated that these are things that we're gonna have to do eventually
Yes.
anyways.
Yes.
Water main breaks, eventually we have to deal with them, and then the additional asphalt on top, we're gonna have to eventually deal with them. So to me, I don't consider that as a cost, because that's something we're gonna have to deal with either
Yes,
way.
yes.
If not today, tomorrow, or next year.
unfortunately, it was, so two advantage and disadvantage. Advantage is it's done at one time, so as Councilman Muscat said, if the water main breaks tomorrow, I don't have to come in and cut brand-new pavement. So if I do the pavement and don't do the water main, when I go to repair it, I have to excavate new pavement. That's,
So let me ask you last question. You're sitting in front of a computer and you're gonna pick yes or no. Which option would you go with? both of you, all three of you guys, based on your expertise.
Me, personally, I would do full replacement, and I will take the pavement replacement all the way to Cherry Hill.
Okay. And Vaughn?
I would do the same. The cost, so there's multiple reasons, the cost effectiveness, the 95 versus 80, which 95 is a good price, but 80 is, you won't ever get that on the street if you bid it out. And so I think that, along with the water main being aging, and if you have the funds, if you're able to do it, it's something that it just makes sense to do, and the value is there.
Okay, and Director Conrad?
I agree with them. It's a win situation for the entire project. I mean, yes, it's a burden to bear the extra expense for doing the work, but I mean, to have fresh pavement that wasn't part of the project and having new water main through Beach Daily that wasn't part of the original project is just going to help us stay away from that area in the future.
In the big picture.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Baydun?
Thank you, Council Chair, and gentlemen, thank you for this and bringing it forward to all of us today. I think option 2 is a no-brainer, but I did hear you guys say that it belongs to all of Dearborn Heights, up into the curb as well. How about the grass?
No, so west of that, I think it's
No,
the offset.
it's to the right of way. I mean,
Because there's a huge sign there
So
that,
basically, if you take Beach Daily and you bring it all the way down, you know how it jogs there to the
Yeah.
east?
Yeah.
That jog puts all of Beach Daily in our jurisdiction.
okay, and I just say this because
If that
when-
had extended straight down, from Beach Daily in that same linear path, then we probably would have had a split jurisdiction.
because there's a huge sign that says "Welcome to Inkster," and I think that's why a lot of people get
Oh.
confused.
The sign,
it
yeah.
says-
And that's on the
Home of-
east side.
Yeah,
correct.
home
No, we
of, home of
look-
Zeeland International.
So the houses are actually in Inkster, but the right of way is
right away,
Okay,
Dearborn Heights.
okay.
yeah. But Councilman, just
But
so
I have
you
just
know,
one,
it's a
one other
two-way.
question
Yeah,
before,
it's-
I'm so sorry.
Yes, sir.
Will you be doing asphalt or will you be doing concrete?
No, we're gonna do full replacement, what is it gonna do?
It would be concrete based on what's there now and what's happening in
Yeah,
in the rest
yeah.
of the subdivision.
Okay.
So it's concrete.
And when you first come off, and I'm so sorry, but when you first enter from Cherry Hill heading towards Avondale, so you're on Beach Daily, you're crossing Cherry Hill, it's a bunch of asphalt and then it turns into concrete.
Right.
And if you know, that right there at the curb, I think me and you have had that conversation a couple of
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
You start seeing these really big craters, big holes. Can you push out the concrete a little bit more so that you're not running in between Cherry Hill?
We'll define the limit once we make the decision. We haven't spent a lot of time, we needed to decide first if we're doing that, and then we'll define the limit in the field.
Thank you.
So for the council members, this is something that we'll be voting on, obviously, during a regular council meeting, not necessarily tonight, but
No,
Mr.
it wouldn't
Deeb
be.
and the rest of them want this presented ahead of time, so we can have ample opportunity to ask questions and
Right.
digest it.
So based on what you guys decide tonight is what we will present in terms of a contract modifications. So we just didn't want to prepare it because we want you to make the decisions, find out what is the best way to go.
Okay, I'm gonna skip back to Councilman Muscat, because he had one more question.
What?
No, he had one, no, you're gonna come back.
What's wrong? What-
No, we'll be good. You'll get an opportunity. Go ahead, Councilman.
Is Wade Trim gonna be there for inspection and testing, like make sure the concrete is the
Absolutely.
right strength and the finished jobs are correct?
Yes, sir.
Because in the past, our finished jobs have not been that good.
Yes.
We had problems on Hass. I got Charlesworth, that looks real horrible. I just want to make sure this project goes good and get tested and inspected properly.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Ahmad next.
Thank you, Council Chair. So I think the houses in Inkster, they're tapped to the back, right? They don't use our sewers. So just to make it easy, from looking at the project, we go with option B, that would be 800,000. But then Councilman Muscat brought a good point about the water main, and that's another 250,000. So now we're looking over $1 million.
Yeah.
Well, to be.
Versus if we go with option 1, that would be maybe 200,000, if, it depends how many boulders we.
Option one, Councilman, was zero, because we're just gonna
I mean,
do
in
what we
case-
have
in
today
case-
and don't do anything and take a chance. That's option, right, yeah.
Yeah, option A.
So to be clear, just to make sure everybody understands, if you go with the option of replacing the roadway from Avondale to Cherry Hill, and then also replacing the water main from Avondale to Cherry Hill, based on what we've shown here, that would be $1.5 million. It's
1.5 million.
It's 800 for the roadway and 700 for the water main. What Councilman Muscat had asked about that section from Marshall to Cherry Hill, for the water main, that would be an additional 200. So that's 200,000 out of the 700,000 that would be for water main, and then 250,000 out of the 800,000 for the roadway replacement.
So if you look at all of it, 2A, which is pavement and water main, all the way to Cherry Hill, we're looking at 1.5 million.
And that's cement, not asphalt.
Concrete, yes, sir.
That is, kind of.
That's all the work completely, the separation of the systems?
Well, the separation is still under, so the actual
all
separation is
extra.
under I'm only talking about the extra now.
Okay.
Open cut, pavement replacement, water main replacement, that kind of
You know,
stuff.
Mr. Deep, if you go back just the system that you mentioned, how you evaluate the streets, can you go over it?
Yeah, the PASER?
Yeah, what is it called again?
PASER, pavement assessment
Yeah, yes.
rating system. So we actually have, and I'll be happy to share maybe next presentation,
Okay.
we constantly update, we drive through consultant, all the streets in the city of Dearborn Heights and rate them, rate the streets. So the idea behind that is so that when you go for a replacement, you want to know what sections are rated bad. So the rating system is 1 to 10.
10
1
being
being
good.
garbage, 10 being brand new, right? So, and everything in between. So anywhere we look at a map and then it's color coded and we constantly update it, and I'll be happy to share it with all of you. It's, so that's what we use for basis when we go put our budget together, which we recently did. So we put the budget stating that, look, we have so many linear miles of red, rated 2, 3. And if we have rated 7 or 8, that's good. You just maintain it. But the rating system is updated yearly, and it's used for budget purposes, and I'll be happy to share. We just finished it, so it'll be,
So if we decide to go with option B, is there enough money in the bond still, or?
yeah.
Is there enough money to use?
Yeah.
1.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilman Wenzel, go ahead.
Well, that was one of my questions, where would that money come from? But if there's that much extra in there, what were we going to do with it if we didn't do
I didn't
this?
say it was extra, Councilman, no. What I said, there's money, but no, the extra, so the projects that were estimated when the bond funds when the bonds were sold, are not coming true. So I kept track of what was estimated back when the bonds were sold versus what actual bids are coming in today. So that's why we're looking at alternative funding to finish those projects. So we currently have requests for SRF funding. We actually have multiple requests to finish projects that are within the bond funds, but there's not enough money for them.
So
Right.
this would take money away from our next step, right? So
And if
we'd
we-
have to come,
Yes.
how are we going to get the money next time to do the?
So these projects are on the schedule for for grant money. So we have applied for grants to cover the remaining projects on that. Multiple grant applications are in place.
Okay, so.
So we're not going back to the citizens for,
So if you do that horizontal drilling or whatever that's called.
Right,
And
jack and bore.
you take a chance of hitting some boulders, you estimate it could be $200,000.
Yes, sir.
Whereas if we do open cut, we're talking $1.5 million.
well, open cut, not just for that. We're open cut, but addresses all the
Yeah,
pavement that
okay.
is originally we're not going to do, and all water main replaced that we weren't going to do.
Well, I know, this is like, in terms of Councilman Baydoun, he says like robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're just taking money from the future that we need and bringing it to now.
Right, so alternative, and we have no problem continue doing what we're doing now with no changes. However, if we continue to have water main breaks in that area, we will continue to pay for water main. And also, the pavement itself, if we have to come back and replace the pavement, which we will, at 2 and 3, it's rated low. That means I'm gonna be paying the $90 a yard versus what I'm paying now.
You know, in Dearborn, they put concrete curb and like 5
I know.
feet and asphalt in the middle. I mean, why is that?
Because their engineer is anyway. I talked to their engineer, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make
We
any
don't know
sense.
either.
I did talk to them. They did that multiple times. The only answer he gave me, and I did speak to their city engineer, is that if we ever have to work on the sewers or, the catch basins, I don't want to deal with asphalt and patch it. I want to be cut that and do concrete. Doesn't make any sense. They stopped doing it, by the way, because the guy retired. They stopped doing
I
that.
wondered why they did that way.
That's what the
The asphalt
gentleman
doesn't
told me.
last as long as concrete.
And the difference in price isn't that great.
No.
It's almost the same, so I don't know why he did that.
All right, thank you. That's all I need.
Okay. So, for the sake of time.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
I'm
have
done.
to respond to general presentation. Keep in mind, when they come back to city council at a later date, you'll have an opportunity to either ask more questions then, or in addition to that, between now and then, you're welcome, of course, to contact any one of the gentlemen.
Right.
To ask additional questions. But with that being the case, before we finish our study session, and we are cognitive of the fact that we got our city council, we got to start super soon. But I just want to still give an opportunity for any residents to have any questions, just in case in regards to this, and if we can do it as quickly as possible, please. Any residents have any questions, either on Zoom or in the audience?
Very good.
Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and give you, Councilman Ahmad, go ahead and ask you a quick question.
No, just quick, I was wondering, you know how old are the water main and, on beach? Like, are they from 1955 or even
They're older than 60 years.
older than 60 years? Okay.
What's wrong with that?
I know. That's what I
See
said.
you breaking down, don't we?
Councilman Constant, do you have any questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate this. You may get additional calls possibly from council members between now and the time that we had this on the agenda. Mr. Deeb, when do you anticipate possibly this will come to agenda?
I'm hoping to get the paperwork for our next council meeting, so
So 2
whatever
weeks from now.
decision. Yeah, 2 weeks from now. So if we can get some kind of a feedback, if possible, if you don't want us to do anything, just continue the way we are.
Well,
we will.
you know what I'm gonna do? This is not a vote,
No.
but to at least give them a general direction, consensus. I like to listen to the experts. And I got 3 experts here telling me 2 or 2A, so that's what I personally am okay with.
Is it at least
Anybody
possible to
object
get
to that?
an
And I'm ready to
exact
go. I'm ready-
estimate
I'm
on the
ready to
project?
go.
But it seems like everybody's talking something
No,
different.
no,
to be honest.
we haven't presented this to the contractor
No, I
yet,
understand that.
obviously.
If we can get
These are
maybe-
engineers' estimates, right?
Okay.
We believe these are good numbers.
Because we
But
jumped from
again, we
800
don't
to
wanna jump the
1.5.
gun. If you don't want to do it, I don't want to waste a whole bunch of consultants' time, and if you tell me that 2A makes sense, I will proceed with that.
I'm always, let's fix it right the first time, not go back 2 and 3 times to put Band-Aids on it.
I mean, option B makes sense, but if we can get an exact,
We'll get the numbers.
Please.
And when I present it as a change to the contract to you, it will be exact numbers, because that will be a contract modifications, right? So I will have to get, based on the decision, I will have to get the contractor to agree to it, and I'll present it to you for approval, and then we'll amend the contract. But that's what I need. Just that, if you want me to prepare 2A, I will.
Okay.
Council Chair?
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Much appreciated. I'm going to go ahead and take, just in case, no questions from the audience or on Zoom on this? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break and then start our regular council meeting. Thank you.